is. It's the same. Even after a deteriorating preseason loss, it's the same come in. I love it.
I hope it picks up this time because last time it didn't pick it up for a lot of the pods. And this mic is so far away from me now, and I don't know why it's still picking up in the red. So I hope that everybody heard it. Maybe I'll do something like, "Hey Ricky, you're so fine, you blow my mind, hey Ricky, hey
Just as
Ricky."
like a substitute in case the first one didn't come through the right way. I mean, you
Yeah,
put a lot of effort into the
yeah,
first one. I really hope that one hits. But
yeah, dude. Honestly, maybe I should do like three different intros and see what one gets picked up by them. That's a pretty good idea. You're onto something there.
maybe next
Uh,
pod we just do a full hour of workshopping intros and
yeah,
just let everyone listen to us practice.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, we have what do you call it?
It's like a
What the
training
takes?
camp for Kitty Lit.
What are the takes they do after the movie?
Oh,
The
like the outtakes, the
outtakes.
bloopers.
Yeah, yeah. We have
Yeah,
like
yeah.
outtakes at the end. Oh man, that sounds like so much work.
It sounds
I'm,
terrible.
oh man, I get so excited to do this podcast because it's like not work and I get to talk football.
Yeah.
And that's what gives me like this like extra boost of energy because man, it is a beast of a project I'm working on right now. But no one cares about that, so let's just move on. My problems don't matter. Let's talk
unless
about the
unless your problems have to do with the Carolina Panthers, then
yes.
they matter significantly.
All right. Here's my thing. I hate that we are so jaded. We are so jaded. We get every little thing that happens, we get so bent out of shape about. And I get it. I get it. I understand. I'm sure Lions fans understand. I'm sure Browns fans understand. I'm sure Jags fans understand. I'm sure Jets fans understand.
Hmm.
I get it. I get it. We have been bad for a long time, but we got to keep everything in perspective.
Right.
Also, I am furious with the Jets. I'm just. It seems like
What's your beef with the Jets?
it seems like I don't know if it's Hard Knocks or if it's Aaron Rodgers that he wants to be a part of. He wants to coach this team to show the Panthers what they're doing. It just felt like we were doing. It's almost like we're doing a walkthrough and like we're just kind of like doing very easy plays that they can stop. They can evaluate their guys. We can evaluate our guys. Because that's what preseason's all about, right? You're evaluating your guys and who's going to make the roster. So we have our offensive line out. They think that all we're doing is just doing vanilla, and we are, and we're just doing vanilla. They're running stunts. They're blitzing every other play. They're hitting our quarterback. It's like, what do you? I get that they're not
You're about to
wrong
say,
doing
"What are
it.
you doing?" And I was about to tell you they were playing football, but
Yeah, I get they're not technically wrong by
sure,
doing that.
right.
But what do you got to prove, man? What do you got to
So
prove?
you just feel like they might have went a little bit extra for
Yeah,
the
yeah.
first preseason game?
What did they learn about their offense? Did they learn anything about their offense? Did you see somebody that it was screen, tight end screen, bootleg. They didn't learn anything about any
Zach Wilson
receiver.
had a couple of downfield intermediate level throws on that first and second drive. He had a couple of things
Yeah,
going
dude.
there.
Actually, that one to Miko Hardman was a
Yeah,
beauty,
it was a
and
beautiful pass that
Dante
Dante
Jackson
Jackson
made a
just made a hell of an
great,
individual play. Yep.
great play. But it's like, what are you? Why are you even doing that? What
Yeah.
like you're not learning anything about yourself. I get you're trying to win the game. Sure, who cares? You're trying to
Well,
win the
think about
game.
it this way, right? So I don't like 1000% disagree with you or anything that it seemed like they were definitely going a level faster than what the Carolina Panthers were playing at. But think about it this way. Our fan base right now has been overreacting like crazy ever since the game.
Yeah,
Completely dejected, don't believe in the team, nothing at all went our way, right? Like we are code zero, everything is bad.
hmm
So for the Jets, what they did is not only did they instill confidence in their fan base, they instilled some confidence into their young players that maybe don't even see a bunch of significant action in the regular season because they didn't even play majority of their starters and they did all of this. So
no,
they're instilling this confidence in the depth on their roster to come into the regular season saying, hey, look, man, somebody goes down. We saw what these young guys can do. We saw what our reserves can do in live game action. And we saw it
hmm
against starters. So while I can understand what, the sentiment behind what you feel is, I have more of a gripe with the fact that there wasn't a pride level on our individual players to not get shown up like that. Vanilla
Yeah.
game plan or not, there's still just like that individual responsibility. And I think, and we can get more into all of this kind of stuff as we go on tonight. But I think that that's probably where that players only offensive line meeting with Campen stems from. Is there was
Mm,
some personal accountability that I think he wanted to remind them of, and that it wasn't strictly blame the game plan, blame the lack of, film watching and scheming up for what these
mm.
guys do specifically. It's a personal accountability, and that's the energy that we had in training camp didn't match the energy we came out with on Saturday. So I hear you, but I also, me, this is what I do. I try to keep
Uh,
level headed. I try to
uh,
not get emotional about anything and look at it from an objective standpoint.
well, I'm not
And
getting
you
emotional
hate
about.
that. I know. You hate that.
Well, I'm not getting emotional about the team. I don't think that. I don't think we saw anything about anything except maybe the offensive line. But I think the offensive line came out thinking. I mean, a lot of the guys that almost everybody on the offensive line that is out played last year. They played in the entire preseason last year, and they're like, "This is the preseason. We're gonna, go 75, 80%." And it makes a lot more the way you say it. It makes a lot more sense because all we heard about coming out of Panthers practice is the O line. Rogers is like upset with the O line because we embarrassed them,
Right.
and I get it from their perspective, but from Panthers' perspective,
Yeah, it sucked. Yeah.
really, bro, like that's what you're doing,
Yep.
and it just got everybody's relaxed about the 27-0. It's basically 13-0, and
The
it's gonna
score
be
means absolutely nothing, first of
right,
all. Doesn't
right,
mean a single thing. The
right,
the objective is to be able to evaluate players on an individual basis and see what they can do. And Frank Reich said it today in one of his pressers. He was talking about it, about how vanilla that scheme was, and about how he wasn't doing our skill and position players any favors with that scheme.
right.
We weren't getting the advantages that we'll get from their play calling and from their concepts. We didn't run any motion that kind of frees up and creates space on its own in a schematic way. We didn't do any of that. He referred to it as having them run uphill. So he
Mhm.
knew that he was making them up against a tougher fight than
Yeah,
what they would see in a regular season.
he assumed they were going to be jerks. That's what he said. He assumed
Yeah, yeah,
he's like, I thought that everybody had a gentleman's agreement about not hitting our quarterback a bunch of times
yeah.
because we all we're doing is trying to evaluate who we have on the field. Hey, how do we know how good your safeties are? How do we know how good your corners are? We don't because all you did was blitz, 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 stunts, 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 and we don't know how good your receivers are because all you did was bubble screen, bubble screen, bubble screen, bootleg.
So do you
What,
want a silver lining from that then?
for us or
Because you
for
talk,
them?
yeah, no, for us. You talk
Oh
about
yeah,
like
yeah,
the heavy blitzing, the stunts on the defensive line, the constant pressure, the all of that kind of stuff. We learned a hell of a lot about Bryce Young. I
yes,
learned watching Bryce Young,
yes.
I learned that he is exactly what he's been called, unflappable. He is going to make quick reads, quick progressions. Literally his very first snap in an NFL game, even though it's preseason, was a full field read from left to right, scanning into probably what was his fourth read, his fourth
Mm.
progression, and found Thielen, who was sitting down exactly where he was supposed to sit, the safety blanket that we've talked about him being for Bryce Young. And it was a nice completion. And there's a little screenshot out there of Bryce standing on his tippy toes and people having some major problem with that. He did it in college. He won the Heisman in college. He balled out against the SEC. I'm not concerned about a screenshot showing him standing on his tippy toes. If you've watched any Bryce Young game film, it's something that happens. He has a tendency to get toesy. He also has a tendency to shred opposing defenses. So give me the guy that stands on his toes and plays like an all pro, as opposed to a guy with solid footwork all the time and they can't make a 53-man roster.
A screenshot is so stupid. Every single great quarterback
Yep.
is alive on their feet. They're jumping. They're not jumping, but they're like because what you
It's a
want to do is
bounce.
not. Yeah, you don't want to have your weight on one foot and have to use that foot to do anything. So you're always on. It's kind of like you're playing defense in basketball, right? Like you're always shuffling your feet. It's the
Hmm.
same exact thing. It's the most moronic thing that has happened with the media. God, man, I hate that I'm just like the mainstream media is so stupid because I don't want to be that guy. But
Yeah.
geez, man, what are we doing? What
Yeah.
are we doing? It's so silly. But yeah, Bryce Young
But they're
looked
right.
great.
Bryce Young, man, he did have a lot to feel good about. Like
Yeah.
he had what 4 of 6 for 21 yards. So from a cumulative statistic point, you're not going to look at that and say that it was a great showing and that you got a lot of answers from that. I understand that, but we're not looking at it from an amassed production standpoint.
Hmm.
We're looking at it from in a live game situation against an aggressive defense that put hits
Oh
on
yeah,
him,
very aggressive.
could have easily rattled his mental like fortitude, right? Of I'm going to stand here and I'm going to take that hit again. Maybe if he didn't have that toughness that he easily displayed on Saturday, maybe he would have been a little bit nervous. Maybe he would have been sped up a little bit, like their own our backup Matt Corral and the Jets' own quarterback Zach Wilson have a tendency to get sped up when things aren't going their way. Bryce didn't do that. Bryce made the correct reads. He had a couple of miscommunications with receivers. There was one where I think Laviska Shenault went a little bit farther deep into his route than he wanted to be. And JT O'Sullivan did a great film breakdown on this on Twitter on his YouTube channel. And it showed that on that opposite side, I believe it was Mingo went on a nice 5-yard stop route. And Laviska went about 7 or 8 yards and tried to stop. And where Bryce threw that ball, it was going to be a pretty nice back shoulder 5-yard route. There's a lot of small parts that we have to have happen in the preseason to clean up and build that chemistry and that timing and that anticipation with these players. This is the first time all these guys have played. We
Mhm.
got to give them a little bit of grace. I'm not saying that we
Yeah.
shouldn't have issues though with some of the other things, and we can get right into that if you want to, because there's definitely some areas that we can say were problematic and are legitimate.
Right. Bryce dropped back what 8 out of 11 times, which is not going to be the case. We are gonna run the ball. We're gonna run the ball heavily. We're gonna set up play action. We are. Here's what they were doing. They were saying we're gonna line up blitzes and we're gonna play press man.
Mm-hmm.
If our offensive line knows that, gives them a smidge more timing,
Yeah.
we're beating them long. We are beating them long because Bryce can throw a great a long ball, and it's going to be they will get. That's what's so frustrating about that is that they kept doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. And if we are ready for that and we're like used to running the ball, there's no way they can do that in a normal game because they get beat long every single time. And
Yeah.
that's what makes me mad is they're taking advantage of the vanilla and like putting Michael Jordan in and other
Right.
guards in that it was dirty in my opinion. I thought it was dirty. I don't. They're not gonna be able to do that in a real game, and you're just taking advantage of it because we're kind of playing. Let's evaluate our players, and you're playing. Let's look. We we got to prove to our fans that we're actually good.
Yeah.
It's I don't know, but we spent way too long on that. So in my opinion, don't take anything away from this game because all the Jets wanted to do is prove to themselves that they're better than the Carolina Panthers. Congratulations, man! Congratulations. I don't know what to tell you. Like you I don't. Anyway, let's start evaluating what we can take away because
Yeah, let's do that.
yeah. Sorry guys. Sorry guys. I'm just
No, and you know what though, man? To be completely honest, it's good to have the passion and to want um the gentleman's agreement of football, essentially, is how you phrased it, I think, earlier. You do want those unwritten rules and those agreements among coaches and stuff. Like you want that to be upheld. But at the same day, or at the same time, what I'm looking at here, we could have done more on our own end to
yes,
eliminate some of what was happening.
1,000%. And
And
that's
and not
I
even
think
just
that's
the coaching, but like the players. I think that there could have been a little bit more on our end
right.
of like, hey, look, I'm tired of getting my ass kicked too. So
Yeah.
let's go out there and let's do something about it.
Yeah, our team thought it was a preseason game one. They thought it was a Super Bowl. That's the difference. So let's go into the guys that we uh, were able to get any kind of read on because
Mm-hmm.
we always use offense and defense. I just think that's like easier for people to kind of get into what we're talking about because
Yeah.
offense is easier to talk about. So we already talked about Bryce. We talked about the O line, which we got an interior O line problem.
You've been saying that for a little bit now.
Yeah. We miss Corbett a lot. Zavala was taking snaps today, though, and so was
Yeah.
Nash, and so was Brown.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to be the player that we choose going forward?
Well,
Because
so it was interesting to hear, and sorry to cut you off.
oh
It
yeah,
was
no, I'm just ranting
interesting to
now.
hear Frank say it today, what I think that me and you have talked about a couple times. And I know that if you follow me on Twitter, I know that you've probably seen me saying these same things. The Chandler Zavala injury, along with now this Nash Jensen time off that he's had the past week or so, 5 days, came at really awful times because training camp was where we were trying to figure out who was going to hold that right guard position until Corbett came back healthy. And my presumed idea on that and that they were hoping for was that Cade Mays sees that job and took it running away without looking back. He clearly did not do that. I think they know that, and I think that they're pretty comfortable even at this point saying that they're not looking for him to win it right now. It would be great if somebody stepped up. I don't think that they have a full anticipation that will be Cade at this point. Chandler Zavala has the physical tools that you look for. He's a bigger, stronger, more powerful guy that fits in line really well with the rest of our offensive line, specifically Icky and Bradley Bozeman. That's why I think that originally the plan was for him to transition over to that left guard at some point during the season. Not that Brady Christensen is a bad player. That's not what I'm inferring when I say that. What I'm saying, though, is that when you have the entire starting five healthy, I think that Brady Christensen is the player that would be the first position that you would look at to upgrade on that offensive line. I don't think that you are concerned about Icky. I don't think you're concerned about Bradley Bozeman. I definitely don't think you're concerned about Corbett. And Taylor Moton has been a staple on this offensive line, and he's been terrific every year that he's out there. So that leaves Brady Christensen. And Brady Christensen is a player playing out of his natural position. He was an offensive tackle at BYU, and they're trying to put him in on that left side next to Icky because he can pass protect. He's a very mobile player. He struggles with his anchor, and that's what we talked about last episode. And it was evident again. Now, look, Brady had, I think, the highest PFF score of all of our starters in that preseason game. And I'm not going to even have to do my, man, don't trust PFF bit because I think you already know that. It's not the end all be all. And they also played 3 snaps. So it is a weighted situation that when there is a negative play, 1 out of 12 is a whole lot different than 2 out of 67. So there is a weighted value there that changes that grading system. I just don't think anyone should take that to heart. Watch the game. You can use that as a starting point and then go watch the film again. NFL Plus has it already on the condensed version. Go watch it. I'll watch it for a 4th time tonight. What I think the issue is here, you're looking at Chandler Zavala, Nash Jensen, Cade Mays, and Justin McCrary to figure out who that starting position is going to be. Frank said that he hopes to have that after week 2. That means that this week in practice is a huge week for those guys. And that's why I think you saw Zavala taking every snap he could today. Injury or not, even if he's not 100%, I just don't know that there's enough time to wait before you have to kind of push that to the back and say, we're going to throw McCray in there or we're going to throw Cade Mays in there. Those are the only 2 that you could feel comfortable because they have some sort of experience. If it were up to me and those were the 2, it's Justin McCray. That's who I would go with. I think they really, really want Zavala to take it over or Nash Jensen. I think they just want that because that's an unknown quantity that they feel like maybe has a little bit more ceiling to it than what they're looking at right now. And I also think that what happens is if you get Zavala who steps up and he does take that right spot right now, when Corbett comes back, then I think you really do look at it and say, has he done enough to move over to that left side? If Brady struggles the first 3 to 5 weeks, whatever it is that Austin is out, if Zavala looks good, then maybe you have a long-term solution there too. That's all very speculative, but that is why this is so important to figure it out right now because there's going to be movement in the season as well. And when Corbett comes back, there is no guarantee he's going to be 100% healthy and ready to go. They're talking about him being ahead of schedule. If he's ahead of schedule, that also means you've got to pay really close attention to any kind of indicators that he's suffering any kind of a setback, or he's having a little bit of extra soreness that you wouldn't have had if he had 3 extra weeks to, get up to game speed and prepare a little bit more. You just don't know what is going to happen coming off of a significant injury. So we need to have all of our ducks in order for this one.
Yeah, what if we just run the ball?
Yeah. If
Yeah,
you
it's
just want to run the ball, then why didn't we draft Bijan Robinson instead of
no.
Bryce Young?
What I was saying is that, so this is what kind of pisses me off about the Jets, is that they know we are trying to evaluate our receivers, our quarterback, and our pass blocking offensive line. They know that. We passed the ball with Bryce Young on the field, 8 out of 11 times or 8 out of 12 times? They
Mhm.
know that. So they're just pinning their ears back and coming after us because that's what we're doing. We are a power run team. Bozeman's a power run a center. Icky's a power run left tackle. Corbett, whenever he comes back, we were phenomenal running the ball last year, and we will do it again because Frank
Mhm.
Reich runs the ball,
Yeah.
and we will set up play action doing that. We will be significantly better, and that's why it gets me back to like talking everything that you saw. Just throw it out the window because they
It's
knew
not what
exactly
yeah,
what we were
right,
doing.
right. It's not gonna
It's
be what we look like on Sundays. What we look like on Saturday isn't gonna be what we look like on Sundays. We're gonna run the ball more. We're gonna have Miles Sanders out there. We are going to run the motions. We're gonna run a whole lot of a different offensive scheme and different concepts. Frank talked about saying multiple again today. He didn't show those looks on Saturday. That's not the point of what we were doing. It was one-on-one type of things. Now, the one thing that I'll say though, when you talk about the Jets coming after us that often, there wasn't a whole lot of like heavy blitzing going on where they were
yeah, it was
bringing
just
extra
stunts. It
people.
was yeah.
That's right. The-
Yeah.
But the matchups were still same personnel numbers on both sides. They
Yeah.
won one-on-one matchups.
Yeah.
And at some point, yeah, does it bother us fans because we just saw us get our ass kicked a bunch of times? Yeah, but guess what it did for James Campen? It gave him a shit ton of ammo to sit there and
Yeah,
look at
that's
his
true.
guys
That's true.
and say, I now know what your biggest deficiency is. You
Yep.
cannot handle a straight speed rush on that outside shoulder. We got
Yep.
to figure that out. We got to fix it. We got to fix it right away. I'm going to line you up against Brian Burns for the next decade, and you're just going to have to
Yeah.
figure it out. Like you're going to just be
Yep.
in pass rush purgatory where we're just
Yep.
going to throw the gauntlet at you.
Yep.
Maybe that's what needs to happen here
Yep.
because there and the other part with that offensive line though, and I think this is really important to stress, a lot of those issues look to be poor communication and poor identification along the offensive line. It did not look to be just a bunch of overpowering. There was
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
or two snaps with Icky that I thought he
Yeah.
just got
Yeah.
overpowered.
Icky. Yeah. Yeah.
But there and overpowered, I also mean speed wise, not power rush. Um,
Yeah.
but the stunts that we're talking about, that's communication errors, and
Yeah.
that is coachable and it's fixable, and it also gets better with continuity and reps. So
Mhm.
where we're concerned about that, those are also very fixable things that we will get better at. That Campen was here for a reason. He stayed for a reason, was to get this team sharper when we have those issues. He knows how to develop this line. He developed this line already. So he
Mhm.
knows what he wants to do with them. He knows where the coaching points are. This just gives him a little bit of an extra kick in the ass to get started on it right away, as
Yeah.
opposed to waiting until week 1 or 2. And that's why I'm okay with this stuff. I
Oh
did
yeah.
not see anything so alarming that I'm ready to say, hey, we're going to go 3-14 this year now.
Yeah. Come on,
It's
everybody.
one
Like,
preseason game with 3 series for our
it's
offense,
so
right?
silly. It's so.
Right.
We saw this offensive line last year. It's oh
It's a
man.
solid offensive line. I
Yeah.
don't think that this is a top 5 offensive line. I think it's a very solid offensive line with a ton of room to
Yeah.
grow.
Yeah, they're all young. Yeah, I don't want to get into the average
Yep.
fan
Yep.
talking about it because it's just too silly to even talk about. Even though I'm really mad about the Jets, I just
Right.
don't think we saw a lot on offense because what I did see is that man Corral, woof. I don't think he was
Yeah,
that great.
and to be fair, he didn't have the time either. Offensive line didn't afford him very much
Mm-hmm.
time, but
Mm-hmm.
what I did see with him is that he also made his job harder on himself.
Oh yeah,
He didn't make decisions quickly enough at all. He's got a live arm. He can really zip the ball. He's
yeah,
got a stronger pure arm than Bryce Young does. He's
yeah,
got zip on it. He can really fit it into a tight window. The problem is that he can't identify tight windows quickly enough to
yeah.
try to throw into them. I'm concerned about him as much as you would anticipate being concerned about a third string quarterback, because that's what he is. If the
Yeah.
plan was to showcase him for a trade, I think you're going to have to kind of let that romantic idea go out of your head. I'm not sure that there's going to be a value there. He's a young developmental guy. I get that there might be an appeal to us as fans because some of us really wanted him to succeed,
Yeah.
and not just succeed. Everyone wants him to succeed. Some of
Yeah.
us wanted him to take that starter position and be our franchise guy. We've got that guy now. So now we just have to look a little bit clearer at this and say, does this guy take a roster spot? Even with the 3 quarterback rule, are we really going to sit here and hold him on the roster if he doesn't show anything more than what he showed?
Yeah, I think he just has to accept the fact that he's a backup. I think he's putting so much pressure on himself to perform, which is kind of what Zach Wilson did. And
Mm-hmm.
I think at some point when he finally accepts, hey man, I'm a backup. If I might get my number called at some point, and that'll be my time to perform.
Yeah,
If
stay
I
ready.
just,
Yeah.
yeah, if I just accept that I'm a backup, then I think that takes the pressure off instead of saying I need to perform well so another team will like take me on to be their starter, or because I never
Yeah.
got my shot kind of thing. It's kind of like that mental thing, because it just looks like mentally he's not there.
Well, and you got to give him a little bit of credit too, though, because he did come out and admit that it's not his foot that was bothering him. His surgically repaired foot is healthy. He's good on that. He even said it's his eyes. He's got to be sharper with his decision making. He's got to be
Yeah.
quicker with his decision making. He's got to play with a little bit more conviction, and that's what you're referring to with the mental confidence and all those kinds of things. But I do think that self-awareness and accountability is a positive thing that he can build off of. So I don't think that he's a completely lost cause as far as being a football player.
Yeah.
But I think that maybe his tenure here is very contingent on the next 2 exhibition games.
Yeah. He reminds me a little bit of Will Grier. I mean, they're both drafted in the 3rd round. Will Grier steps in. It's just out of his league. And now he's like he's with Dallas. He's kind of accepting his role as being a backup. I feel like that's a very, very similar comp. Yeah, and everything else in the offense. I mean, I think
it's vanilla, hard to tell, right?
Yeah, I think there's a reason that Blackshear didn't play a lot. I think there's a reason we didn't target the tight ends a lot. I think that's going to be a heavy part of this offense, and we just didn't show our hand yet.
So maybe you learn something by not seeing it on the field, right?
Ooh,
maybe some of the things that you didn't see that you anticipated seeing, maybe you weren't wrong about that. Maybe there's just a reason that you didn't see it. Laviska Shenault's usage, maybe there's a reason that he was targeted one time and on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's a reason that Raheem Blackshear, I think, took one handoff from the backfield. Maybe there's a reason that DJ Chark didn't run a go route. Now there was the one attempted back shoulder fade that Bryce threw to him.
Yeah.
That if you look at it, I think that when Bryce anticipated throwing that ball, DJ was hip to hip with that defender. So Bryce looked at it as a back shoulder. DJ ended up getting a step on him right as Bryce was throwing it. And I think the DJ might have anticipated that being a deeper downfield throw.
That was a go route. That was a go route.
And there's the timing aspect, though, of that you kind of just have to work out, and you have to work out the feel between the 2 of them in real games. All of these reps are meaningful. So all of that does play a part in it, right? But maybe the things that we didn't see are almost worth writing home about, because maybe those are the things that we do see in Sundays.
We know. We've seen Reich too many times. We know what he's going to do. We know what Thomas Brown's going to do. We know what's going to happen. If anybody that's worried, just please don't be. There's nothing about this offense that screams Reich at all. None of it.
Yeah, if you're super worried and panicking right now, like, wake up in the morning, go take a walk, enjoy the outside, touch some grass, smell the last little bit of summer and all of this awesome stuff that's going on. And prepare yourself to let all of that go, because there just is no reason for that serious, heavy overreaction right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. My other little takeaways is Derek Wright's a good little player.
Hurt his knee at the end of the game.
Yeah. He's a good little player, though. I was a Saunders guy last year, and I think Derek Wright's kind of my good guy this year. I like Derek Wright.
I like Derek Wright. He's a good football player. Knee injury. End of the game. Frank commented on it today, said they'll look at the next day or 2. He said that with pretty much all the injuries that were going on right now, that they'll give it a day or 2 and make an assessment once they kind of look at the scans and all those things again. But he anticipates it's going to be a minute is what he said. And he said the same thing for Anderson. defensive end. He also injury late in the game.
Yeah,
It's disappointing to come up with those injuries, and then we have TMJ carted off the field today in
he
practice.
said 5 o'clock. Did they give us any update? The fact
No,
that
that
they
was
didn't
I believe it was
scares me.
Sheena Quick that said that there was a scan scheduled for 5 o'clock this afternoon. I
Yeah,
had not, as of coming on to record this tonight, I had not seen any update on that.
that's scary.
Now
The fact
Mike
that we
Cato
haven't heard it.
reported that he was in the front seat of the golf cart and that
Yeah.
it didn't look overly dramatic, but
But
that
it's a
he had
back
already
injury.
had an
What's going to
X-ray.
happen?
Right. So we'll see. They called it a tweak and not overly dramatic and in the front seat. So we'll see what happens there. But I think we can't have TMJ getting injured when it's such a pivotal part of the offense. And I know maybe some people are down on him. What he brings to it is what makes the offense as complete and multiple and dangerous as it is. So we can't start losing these pieces before we even get to see what we're working with, because it's going to be a really tough evaluation at that point of this team.
Yeah, the thing that's scary. I'm not scared about anything else except that it's supposed to be at 5, and we haven't heard anything. So it's you don't give bad news.
And this team has been pretty close to the vest about injuries, but as time lingers, we're starting to learn like little tidbits that seem a little bit troublesome, like the Marquise Haynes Sr. back tweak that he had.
Yeah,
Said it was not serious. He's been out for about 3 weeks now. Today in the Joe Person piece for The Athletic, he commented, or he was talking to Marquise, and Marquise was quoted as saying, I've dealt with this before, but this time is a little bit more. That I wouldn't wish this on anybody. Back pain sucks, kind of things.
Yeah, it does.
And when you read those quotes directly from a player, it gives you a little pause. So it does make me a little bit concerned that the verbiage of tweak has been used on something that has lasted
Miles
4
Sanders
weeks.
groin, and we haven't seen him in a
Yeah,
little
and
bit.
then Miles Sanders groin said if it was a regular season game, he'd be playing. Didn't practice again today. Not anticipating him playing in the preseason now at this point, at least not week 2. And I think that's totally fine.
Yeah,
I don't think he needs to, especially not until we get this offensive line worked out. What's the benefit of throwing him out there to get 3 carries in a series where you're trying to evaluate Bryce more than Miles Sanders anyways? So I don't have a problem with that. That's not alarming. Yeah.
Running back soft tissue take all the time you
Absolutely.
need. I'm
no doubt.
definitely okay with that.
Yep.
Anything offense, there's nothing really to take away. I think I
thought Chuba ran well. I thought Chuba still ran hard.
Yeah,
I don't have a problem. Man, I think that Chuba's going to be a good ball player this year. I think that he was a decent ball player last year, and I think he's going to be a pretty good one this year.
Yeah, he's going to be AJ Dillon. I think that's what he's going to be. I feel like he still can't because he missed it. He got targeted, right, and he didn't catch it. I think it was like
no, he did catch it out of the flat.
Oh, okay,
it was one of Bryce's real quick. It was probably Bryce's best rhythm throw in the pocket. He was at the 4-yard line. Took 1 step, 2 steps, did not click his heels, turned hips, fired it, put it right on that outside corner of his body, allowed him to fall forward for 2 yards. It was a beautiful little throw. And,
really?
It's a great throw, and it's really funny to even. It's really funny to even say that it's a great throw because it's a quick little flat out route, right? But
Zach Wilson did it all day, so it must not be that good.
Man, our defense got lit up on the flats. That is something that was crazy.
Do, man? They're not trying to because when you do that, you're going.
Yeah.
What they didn't want to do, they didn't want to hurt anybody because they're gentlemen and they didn't want to do it. Because you know what you can do when somebody catches the ball right there in the middle of traffic, tee off on him, and that dude's down for the rest. I cannot believe the play calling that happened on the Jets side.
Yeah.
I digress. Let's not talk about it too much. Offensive line, basically it. We try to come up with more stuff, but there really ain't much. The defense, though, there was some pretty fun plays that happened.
Absolutely.
So we have guys we can go through one by one. Franklin, of course, man. Why don't you go to the sideline? What are you doing? Just go take it down the sideline. But it was a really nice interception.
Nice to see him get that play. He's earned some looks as a depth player on defense. I still think, though, when you look at and I saw the conversation today about maybe he should be getting some defensive reps and all these kinds of things. And he's a good ball player. But if you look at our safety room, who's he going to jump over, right?
Yeah.
Because one of the guys that he's in competition with for that, secondary safety position, Eric Rowe. Eric Rowe had a wonderful perforance on Saturday.
Go ahead and talk about that. You do it all the time, so just go ahead and talk about my next guy. So let's go right into Eric Rowe. Come on.
I did, though. I did really think that Eric Rowe had a really nice showing. I think that he did exactly what he was brought here to do by playing that physical big nickel or star role, however you want to look at it, where if he's the third safety on there, that's what he's going to be doing. He's going to be in that Jeremy Chin role for the times that Chin's not on there. And I think that that's it's a great mentor type of situation for Chin to learn from somebody who's kind of had to transition into that from the cornerback position where he had success early in his career. And now he's better suited to play this style of position. I think that that's a great natural learning partner for Jeremy Chin, but I also think that it's great competition because he's still got juice left.
Yeah.
He's not strictly a voice in a locker room. This guy's actually going to push him to play his best because if he's not, Eric Rowe is going to be able to step in and be a productive player and understand a defensive system right now. So I love that aspect.
Yep.
Franklin, I did think played really well, and Franklin was involved on the special teams. He's just got so much value for this team.
Yeah,
People do not give enough credit to the guys that play defense and special teams at a high level.
Yep.
Very valuable players to a football roster.
Yeah, we talked about the vets. I don't know which podcast we did. We talked about how Adam Thielen's been to a conference championship game.
Right.
Miles Sanders has been to a Super Bowl. Now we got Houston, who we got all these guys that have like won, and then you got Rowe. I just kind of forgot about him, and Rowe's done the same thing. We got we have a really nice mixture. Is when I do my 32 and 32. I talk about the Falcons, and it's like your whole team is vets. Like their whole defense, they just brought in a bunch of vets, and that's all they have. We have a nice little mixture of young guys and vets because we haven't experienced winning before, and so to getting that winning culture to come in with these older players it's
a big deal.
I think it's more important than people. We talk about coaching all the time, but I think these are more. I think Mingo is going to be really good, really fast because of Thielen. And I think Chin could be really good, really fast because of. I think that's it's almost like they targeted these guys for the guys that we had.
This is a team built purposefully. Yeah, they were put together. You look at it like a jigsaw puzzle, right? Like these pieces literally just fit with each other to create a picture. Yeah. And that's a great job by the front office. It's a great job by the coaching staff to identify what works and what they prioritize in their systems. That's why you're talking about this preseason situation, and we have to understand we did not see what this team is supposed to look like on Sundays. You brought up Justin Houston, didn't play. Brought up Brian Burns, didn't play. So we're missing those two. Now, can we transition real quick since we're talking about the edge? Can we talk about what we saw from edge players? Can we do that?
No, that's my next. Yeah, that's my next.
Perfect.
My next one too. Yeah.
So I did exactly what I always do.
Just run. I'm good. I'm good.
Hey, just raise your hand if you want to talk, okay, Alex? No, I'm sorry, man.
No, just kidding.
Alex always gives me shit and says that I'm too nice because I'm from North Carolina. I'm from the South. And I think that I just did a really good job of displaying that I'm too nice, at least to Alex. I'm not to other people. Like, if you ask anyone else in my life, they'd be like, Ricky's a complete asshole. Like, but to Alex, yeah, no, I am nice. Probably just because he's from New York and I'm from the South, so he doesn't understand.
I'm from New York. I just been in New York.
Well,
for
whatever,
a while.
man. You've been there like 10 years. You're practically a Ninja Turtle now. Anyways, back to the edge players. What I did see that I really liked, DJ Johnson. I think that he showed way more than anyone anticipated seeing based off of what he looked like in camp. And I don't necessarily mean in the pass rush way. I just mean that I think he's going to put a little bit of pressure on YGM as far as his roster spot. Because if DJ Johnson can display on a consistent basis the ability to set the edge and to be a really good run defender, because he did a lot of the things that I saw YGM do in his a couple series and that I've seen YGM do the past 2 years in the NFL. His backside pursuit of the ball carrier is going to be one of his strong points. And that makes a lot of sense because of his straight line speed on his 40. He can get after somebody in pursuit. Where he has struggled is with his small area, right? His burst and his quickness and his agility in small areas. That's where he's been a little bit underwhelming. He showed his physical abilities to just muddy up gaps and to make a problem in the defensive line. I like seeing that. I love to see him being able to disrupt the line of scrimmage and push the offensive player backwards. That's a very similar skill set as what YGM brings to the table. The thing is, we have to see DJ do it consistently before you feel comfortable saying that you're going to get rid of a proven commodity at doing those things, because YGM is a top level at doing those things. He doesn't offer you hardly anything in pass rush, and that sucked to see. He is not he's not efficient with his pass rush moves. He does not use his hands terrifically. He does not have a huge repertoire of moves. And somebody asked me, they said, do you think, and I believe it was Thomas Bray, shout out Thomas, man, he's awesome.
Go, Thomas.
If he asked me, did I think that there was hesitancy from YGM to go after the pass rusher because he's been told so many times not to let somebody get past that back shoulder because he's excelling at run defense. He's such a good boundary. He's such a good edge set. Maybe, man, like that does make sense. And I think it's worth looking at. But him in college, YGM was a productive pass rusher. And he talked about how he used his length and his quickness and his athleticism and his pass moves to attack and to get after the quarterback. We just haven't seen that in the NFL. So if we're talking about DJ and YGM being relatively linear in what they bring to an offense, we need to open up a roster spot for some of these guys like Iku Leota, Kobe Jones, and Amari Barno, because those guys look like football players on Saturday. Iku Leota was involved everywhere. Special teams, run defense, even disrupting on pass rush reps. He was a player. He looked good. I saw his name and number many times on film. Amari Barno had the big highlight sack. It was a 15-yard loss on the sack where he got skinny in between Mekhi Becton and the guard and got right underneath, got his pad level down, and he got after him. That's a nice play, and that's a sign of life from somebody that we have been talking about being super underwhelming all of camp. Kobe Jones, we know that he's a high motor guy. We know that everyone likes him in the Panthers organization. He didn't do anything to, dispel the way that he's been labeled so far. He didn't necessarily stand out in a huge way, but he also didn't disappear. That's worth noting, right? So out from the edge group overall, and we're talking about all of those are depth players. We didn't see Justin Houston. We didn't see Brian Burns. And we still haven't seen Marquise Haynes, who's going to be your third best pass rusher. I'm not overly concerned about that group right now. That group made me feel better after Saturday than I felt about them the entire offseason, to be completely honest.
You were so close. Are you gonna say
hitting everything?
No, you're so close to saying what I was thinking is YGM's he's the
he
odd
might
man
be
out.
the odd man out.
He's
He might be the odd
me.
man out.
I was watching that really closely.
Yeah.
We've seen it's his demeanor. He doesn't have that like dog in him.
There's no confidence in him, man. The way that I watched him play, I didn't see confidence in the way that he was playing.
He doesn't. It's like one of these things is not like the other kind of thing. And we keep on apologizing for him, and we know Brian Burns has been working with him. He just doesn't get it, and we keep on wanting it to happen, and it's just not going to happen.
And maybe that's part of what Thomas Bray was talking about, right?
Yeah.
Because when YGM comes out, he looks like he's playing within his own head. He's thinking about everything he's doing. It's mechanical. Right. It's a process. These other guys are playing instinctually. And when you talk to players that play defensive line, outside linebacker like this at a high level, they tell you that what they're trying to do is play instinctually. They are practicing and doing the repetition part through practice. When they get out there on Sundays, they want their body to just be able to go off of instincts. And it makes them play faster, it makes them play more fluid, and it makes them play more aggressively. Play within their own limits, right? When you're thinking about every single thing you're doing and concerned about maybe not doing it to the way that someone has taught you recently, especially in a position switch, man, that's detrimental. And I do think that I saw a little bit of that.
Yeah, I've been a kind of a YGM defender in sorts of like everybody wants the sack number, everybody wants the highlight play. I get that. I just gotta see development. I gotta see it just seems like you see him at the podium talking. He's like, well, yeah, just like I'm just not good enough, I guess. It's just like that ain't like Von Bell.
Right.
YGM versus Von Bell, that ain't it. And I think that he's probably like he's sad. I get it. I don't want to like harp on it too much, but as far as like making a roster, they ain't concerned about that, man. Like you gotta independently work on that. But you everybody else on this defense is dogs. Kamu, Iku Leota, Derek Brown, Brian Burns, all of them are like running to Frankie Louvu, Von Bell. Those guys are going after even Jamie Robinson. Like those guys are want to hit somebody.
And there are just these position groups on this team for this roster that are so deep and that have such like difficult fringe battles right now for making a roster spot on the 53 that a player like YGM, who has the high draft capital invested in him, second round pick, and he's only, third year into the league, you do want so badly to not cut ties with
Yeah.
somebody like that at
Yeah.
such an early stage. But if you haven't shown any reason for me to
No.
say that you have more upside and more right now than
Yeah.
some of these other guys, because Ike Leota should be a rotational pass rusher and an edge setter right now.
Yeah.
I truly believe that. I don't think he's ready for a high snap usage and a big role right now.
Yet.
But
It's
I
been
also
3
think that
weeks.
he's got, and he also has a huge value on special teams. We just got done talking about how important it is
Yeah.
to have value on special teams.
He played what,
He's got
50%
it.
of the stats? Yeah.
I think he might have played every single special team snap.
Yeah.
Like,
He outsnapped everybody else. I don't know if he
yeah,
played every single one, but he
man, he's
outsnapped
just
every.
playing a lot of football, and he looks good doing
He's making
it.
the roster. I don't see how he
I
doesn't
hope
make
so,
the roster.
man. I really hope so. But
yeah.
the thing is, though, if Barno, him, and Kobe, I think, are all kind of fighting for it. And then if you say, though, that YGM becomes on that chopping block, then I think two of them make it, right? And I think, looking at it, I would look at Iku and I would look at Barno right this second. Kobe has been way better in camp, but if Barno flashes in these games and he continues to look like he did on Saturday,
Yeah.
it's going to be difficult to keep him off the roster too because of his traits and his tools.
Right. I talked to you about that. It's just so much athleticism. It's just so hard to cut somebody. And if they're going to have guys that they just want high upside guys,
right?
Barno all day. He is just a freak athletically. In my opinion. So I'm with you. I would do Leota and because I finally saw them and I haven't seen them.
Leota looks good,
yet.
Right?
Dude, those two guys.
That's a football player, man.
Yeah. It's and there's nothing that Kobe Jones. I think Kobe Jones is he might be a starter on a different team.
Yeah.
I have no idea. He didn't do anything wrong, and even YGM, he might just need a different era. Like he might just not need the David Newton every single time asking him. So you think you suck? Are you terrible?
Right.
Well, I mean, they brought somebody else in, so maybe I'm terrible. I don't know. So it's
I'm
just
not gonna lie though. I had a personal moment where I was really happy when I saw Leota doing all this stuff because I knew that you were watching this, and me and you have talked multiple times now about Ike Leota, and I knew, and I was like, every time that I saw him flash, I was like, Alex is gonna look at that, and he's gonna be like, God, Ricky was really right. Like this dude's a real football player.
Yeah. No, he was great. No, he was the best of those four by far. I don't even think he's close. Man. And then Barno, I think, showed like really good flashes. And you know what? Barno was really good about setting the edge too. Like he was very disciplined as well, and that also really impressed me with him because it didn't seem like he was. It kind of seems like he had the confidence like not to over pursue things and like stay disciplined, which I didn't think that for him. But that was really really good.
Yep.
I think the corners played well. I thought the corners played
really well. Yeah, Keith Taylor Jr. had a nice game.
Yeah.
He was in on a lot of snaps, so he also had more opportunities where he had receptions against him, but he was in line to make the play after the reception. He made some really nice plays on run defense. He made some really nice angles. CJ Henderson had a great play. That if this staff is going to allow him to play more man on the boundary and use his mirroring ability, which is his premier physical talent, is his ability to mirror that outside receiver, I think that he can find some rejuvenation and find a really nice season in this contract year for him. Yeah. I like that they are allowing him to do that. He had that really beautiful just pass breakup across the body, was physical with the receiver. The receiver was trying to be physical with him. Like it was just really nice to see him play a nice game. Hey man, I think you have a dog in your apartment or something like that.
Toby.
That's one of the fringe roster players right there.
Yeah. So my last name is
Making
Bryant.
A case.
So my dog's name is Kobe Bryant.
Oh yeah, that's good. Okay.
Yeah. Well, we didn't name him. We just got him. His name was Kobe. We're like that's.
That plays.
Meant to be.
Not going to change that.
Sorry. Can we do this over again? I know that the rest of the listeners heard, but I'm more important. So what did you say?
What were we talking about?
The corners.
Oh yeah, just CJ Henderson. Just the fact that I thought that he had a really nice showing, and that if he's able to play in the alignment and the positioning and the opportunities that he's best suited for, then I think that he's going to find success this year.
Yeah.
And I do think that Evero is a smart enough coach, along with Cooley and D'Angelo Hall. I think that all of them are smart enough and aware enough of what his physical abilities are, that they know how to put him in a position to play his best football.
Yeah, and like he's kind of been like Miles Sanders almost for me. Like kind of doesn't talk a lot to anybody. He's kind of like very focused, trying to kind of prove himself
Yeah,
almost. And good for him. Like it just
yeah.
seems like it's like showing up on the field.
Keep your head down and work.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
and that's amazing because I think that a lot of the things that people talked about him were that he didn't have that. He didn't have that work
sure,
ethic. That he
sure.
didn't do those things. So, yeah, dude, that's amazing.
Like
Like
to
I
see
told you
it. Yeah,
before, I don't care who I think is great. I don't care if anybody. If you pass over the people that I think are good, great. That means we're better.
awesome. Right.
So yeah, good on him, man. I think that he looked good. I think
Yep.
I always thought Keith Taylor looked good. I think that we saw one game of him like just being awful with the Bucks, and everybody was awful on the back end. I think
Yeah,
overall he's been pretty solid as far as every time I've seen him.
he's had some opportunities where he knew that he should have played better. It wasn't just the
Yeah,
one Tampa game, but the Tampa game was the glaring one, right? It's the one that
yeah,
will stick in everyone's mind.
right,
He had multiple situations where he didn't play very well. But then
yeah,
he had in his rookie year, he had a handful of instances that were extremely promising and reason for optimism. So it's a mixed bag. And when you have a mixed bag with a completely incompetent coaching staff and no training for that player, I think you kind of almost have to just wash out some of the negative and prioritize some of the positive that you've
yeah.
seen from the player and hope that that is harnessed by the actual NFL coaches that are around them right now. So that's what we go into it with. Another position group, real quick, just to touch on, because we moved already from like the edge all the way back into the secondary, real quick. I thought Marquand McCall looked really good out there. And I thought that he
Oh yeah,
demonstrated some of his nastiness on at least one play in particular I saw where he finished the play. I mean, the play was pretty much done, and he still took this dude for a ride down to the ground. I love that nastiness of him. Um, I think that him and Derek Brown are going to wreak some havoc. I think that
oh
him
yeah.
being that space eater and taking up 2 blocks, and I know how concerned every offense is going to be with Derek Brown, they're just going to be a really formidable duo. And I'm
Yeah.
excited about that because I think Marquand is a great story. You know what I mean? Coming in
Oh yeah.
undrafted out of Kentucky, not getting much snaps last year, coming in this year
Until he
in a
did.
defense that's almost tailor-made for him to succeed. I can't wait to see it. And he showed a little bit of it already on the first game.
Oh yeah, and we played a lot of 4-3 yesterday. We had
Yeah.
a lot of 4-3.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was like on purpose to like try to hide our three
I
four.
just don't think that I just don't think that there's a reason to try to box in what formation, like what base formation we're going to
Yeah.
be. It's going to be
Well,
a
I
lot of
was
sub packages. And maybe it was
yeah.
4-3 again because of what we talked about at the beginning of the episode, right? Showing something that you're not going to see. So
Right.
look at
That's what
this
I'm
all you
saying.
want to, and it won't do
Yeah.
anything for you.
Yeah. It looked like 75-80% 4-3. And then even when it was 3-4, it just didn't seem uh it seemed like we were like dropping back in coverage. It wasn't
Mm.
people on the right. It was just kind of odd. It didn't seem we didn't move around a lot. We didn't fly to the ball. Like it was like not even
Except for
vanilla. It
Frankie
was like
Louvu. Frankie Louvu had that nice pop. Frankie Louvu's still Frankie
oh no,
Louvu. I
Shaq
love that dude.
Thompson, man, Shaq
Shaq looked
Thompson
good
like
too.
went straight. Oh man, the
And
thing is like
Camus once again was involved on special teams and defense. Our
yeah,
defense has some ball players, man.
yeah, and you can see them holding it. Like you saw that like them do that play, and I think they were just like,
Hmm.
all right, man, we're not going to do this every single time. Keep
Yeah,
running your screens. Like
yeah,
it's the
yeah,
first preseason game. Yeah, you really want to win that bad? Okay, fine, man. Like it felt that's what it felt like.
yeah,
Like they showed you the first time when they did that. Yeah, we can stop that. We're good.
yeah.
And they kept on doing that. Like, all right, I'm not going to hurt myself trying to trying to fly to the ball just
Right,
because you don't trust your quarterback enough to throw downfield.
right.
That's kind of what it felt like to me. Yeah, and I think we kind of touched. I don't think Shai Smith's making the team. I don't think he's making the team.
Man,
Yeah,
what do I think about Shai Smith? I think that he's in an opportunistic situation right now because with Derek Wright suffering an injury and he's probably done through the preseason, with Damiere Byrd gone, with wanting to keep Raheem Blackshear's usage kind of close to the vest right now to not tip your hands on what you have in store for him. I do think that Shai has a opportunity to show something in the return game and as a slot receiver. I don't have a lot of faith that he's going to show enough to get on the roster.
Yeah.
But he's in a better situation than I ever thought he would be right now. If you'd asked me like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I don't think that he would even be a fringe player. I think they would already know that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But now I do think there's a realistic chance that they want to keep 6 receivers. Me personally, I really like Javon Wims. I just don't think that he has any other value outside of a receiver. And as the 6th receiver on the team, Shy at least does carry a little bit of that special teams added value for a backup return position if Raheem doesn't handle everything on his own. I'm with you, though. I think he's got a really long walk to try to make that team.
Yeah. I feel bad saying it doesn't work, in my opinion. And if he makes the team, Bird comes back and he's gone. Like, I would rather – if I'm Reich, I'm just like, hey, man, I'm going to cut you and let you, like, for your sake, so you can try to get on another team. Because we can duplicate your production. We can find somebody to come in and duplicate.
I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong. There was one other player that I think that we should touch on because he got smoked on a play. Jamie Robinson got smoked by rookie Jets running back Israel.
He didn't look good, man.
Well, here's my gripe with the Jamie Robinson play. I didn't care for him stopping in pursuit after he got burned. That Jets running back mashed that B button, spun his ass over, and he stopped. When he got beat, he did not go full speed in pursuit. That bothers me more than getting beat on a spin move. And that spin move wasn't even that filthy. I'm saying this, I would have broke 3 ACLs if I tried to do that spin move.
We're gonna stop.
Yeah, that's right.
Comparing ourselves to
but from a professional athlete standpoint, right? Yeah, and I don't even think I have 3 ACLs. I don't know how that would happen. I probably would have just hurt somebody else looking at them. It would have been nasty if I tried to do that with my legs. But the fact that he got beat by a spin move that by all accounts didn't look necessarily lethal, right? And sudden, that doesn't bother me. You're going to get beat sometimes by somebody making a move at the right time. What bothered me is that he didn't seem interested in trying to finish the play and make up for it. And that's just something that I would assume he was talked to immediately on the sidelines and that throughout practice is going to be hammered home. Not exactly sure what method they will use to do that, but I would imagine that there is going to be some extra tutelage about not giving up on a play. And that's the only thing that I took from him, because I didn't focus in on him a lot after that. There was a personal vendetta type of feeling that I had in my head where I was just like, man, come on, dude. Like, you're such a good ball player. Like, I have watched your film at Florida State. I was a fan of yours. I'm still a fan of him, dude. It's not like I'm like tossing him out because of that one play. It was just disappointing because we talk about him having that dog in him. We talk about him having that underdog mentality. That didn't show up right there, and that was disappointing for me. So I thought that was worth at least noting that play happened.
Yeah, you're a Hornets fan, right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Tell me about it. So you follow Book Night?
I do. Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of Book Night. Like, he's so pissed off that he isn't getting the respect that he deserves, but doesn't put in the effort when he has the chance to do it. I think that
Jamie has shown a lot more work ethic already. I mean, he's gotten straight to it. He's gotten straight to it. Yeah,
he's got talent, but it's that I'm
don't let
better
the chip
than
on your
all of
shoulder
you.
like overcome what's actually driving
exactly.
you.
Exactly. Yeah. Work through the people dismissing you kind of thing instead of being like, I don't know why I don't get time. I don't know why. It's kind of like that thing. Like, you have to work 120% to prove that you're good enough to get this stuff instead of like having that. I'm better. I don't know why people don't understand I'm better, and then do plays like that. That's kind of how I get a feel about it. It's still so early. He's a rookie. Like,
that's right.
I don't want to overthink that. But it's kind of like that's kind of like the thing that I get from him. Anybody else that I feel like we've been like fairly negative.
Chandler Wooten.
Yeah,
had a nice game.
Yeah,
he's a good ball player.
Yeah,
he was around. He flashed a bunch. His number was called a lot.
Yeah.
That's number 57 inside linebacker for anyone that is not familiar with who that was all over your screen.
Yeah.
Good ball player. I think that Mike Kay has had him making his 53-man
twice,
I believe now. Wow. He's had him making that over Brandon Smith. Brandon Smith didn't have a terrific day again.
Yeah.
We won't even go into that.
He's not making the team.
We've already done enough talk about people that didn't play super well.
Yeah, he's not making the team.
Let's just say that he's got some things to work on. he's
Yeah, he
he's going to
might.
have to work on some stuff, man. He's got to fix his
Yeah,
reaction
he
time.
might. Yeah,
He's
yeah. He's
very
not gonna make the
hesitant.
first cut. I don't think.
Yeah, he's a very
It's.
hesitant. Well, there's only one cut this year. There's only the mass cut
Oh,
this
okay,
year.
okay, okay. Yeah, okay. All right, cool.
But
Yeah, he didn't make
he's
this
got to
year.
work on his hesitancy.
Yeah,
He's got
yeah.
to play instinctually. But
Especially in this defense.
yeah, but Chandler Wooten, I think, looked really good. I think that he looked like he belonged. And you pair him with Kamu and Deion Jones as the depth right there as the interior linebackers. I do like that group a lot all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Frankie, Shaq, Deion Jones, Kamu, and Chandler Wooten. I'll take that.
Yeah.
And Chandler Wooten is going to take some people by surprise because you haven't heard of him and you're not exactly sure like what kind of ball player he is. Just watch.
Yeah.
The next game that you get to watch, just look for number 57 when he's out there and just watch what he does because
the next game that I'm
he's he's an athletic, instinctual player and he flies. He plays really hard. Yep. So I really did want to talk about him because I liked what I saw from him, and I understand what Mike Kay was talking about now, making that roster. He looked like a legitimate NFL ball player.
Yeah, you talk about staying multiple. I mean, I think that having that inside linebacker core, almost all of them you can put outside if you need to. Like, say we get like crushed with injuries on outside linebacker. A lot of those guys can play outside linebacker, I think.
They could. You think you lose some when you try to put them out there, but yeah, you're right.
Of course, but like
if you're in a jam,
because because everybody else is getting hurt. Hopefully, it doesn't happen. But I'm saying like, I think we can be a lot more creative with guys like that. It's kind of like where I'm going with that.
Yep.
Yeah, we're at an hour. I feel like we have good. Like we have like, I feel like we've been fairly negative about a lot of guys, but I think we like touched for such a negative game. There's some guys that like stood out. I like, especially on defense.
Absolutely,
especially on defense.
Yeah.
And even though they were like, sorry, YGM, sorry, Braden Smith.
The only other negative thing that I do want to point out is that I just want Michael Jordan off the team, and I'm not one.
What are we doing?
Man, I don't know, and I'm not the kind of person that would typically say like we got to just cut bait. Like I don't want this dude even involved. This track record that this dude has as just a very poor pass pro offensive guard that we have tried with in the past, that the Bengals tried with, and now we're throwing him back out there. I understand maybe he was brought in as a depth signing and just to kind of bolster the roster and have those pieces down there. He played way too much if that's what he is.
Don't put him out there with Bryce Young.
I don't know what they're doing. I would have rather just seen the same guy out there the entire game, even if it's a third stringer. I just don't know what you're doing with Michael Jordan. And I am pleading. I'm pleading at this point with anybody that might be able to get this audio clip to somebody that actually matters in the world of football.
Hey,
yeah, right. Like I don't care what has to happen here. Whatever favors have to be called in, do me one solid and just drop this on like a little mini USB drive at somebody's office in that building in South Mint Street and have them just get rid of that player. Like
you gotta call David Newton. I think David Newton would be the guy to do it. Hey, Rick, this is guy Ricky. He's on his podcast. He said, "You gotta go to Michael Jordan."
We've had one Michael depart recently. Can we just make it two? That's all I would ask for. And I'm sorry, Michael Jordan. I hope you get another opportunity somewhere else. I just don't want it to be here in Carolina.
It's more about,
that's all I'm going to say.
It's less about you, but we want our.
No, some of it's about you too, and I'm not trying to be an asshole, but a lot of it's about you, and I really just don't want you protecting the line for Bryce Young. Sorry, that's just it, man.
Hey, it's about Bryce Young. I don't want him protecting him.
I told you I'm not that nice to other people.
All right, cool. We've vamped and gone way too long on kind of like a. We didn't. It's so funny that we walked in and we're like, we didn't really get a lot of data from this, and
then we talked for an hour about it. Yeah, I could go for another 3 hours. So if anybody wants to keep talking about it, let me know.
Yeah. Call Ricky. His name's Bob. His number is. So let's just end it talking about Shark Academy again. Did anybody send you any pictures? I know like a couple of my friends have.
No, I know a couple of your buddies bought tickets. I've got some people that have asked me about it and it said that they were going to. I do not have any proof of anybody buying anything yet. I've had multiple people ask, questions about it and if there's any stipulations about it. So there is interest, but I have not received any pictures. So if any of y'all have bought tickets and have forgotten to send them to me because the only way that we raffle off that jersey of your choice is with 25 tickets purchased of my followers or show listeners. You can show that you subscribe to the show. If you don't have a Twitter, do that as well. Shoot it over. But send those pictures in if you want that jersey raffle.
Yeah, I got 5 tickets, I think, for my friends. And I got to do a better job pushing it, man. Work is just
I hear you.
Yeah, anything else we need to touch on? We got Giants this week. If anybody is going to the game, let me know on Twitter because I want to hang out with
Yeah.
some Panthers people because Ricky gets to hang out with.
Somebody holler at New York Alex.
Yeah. Everybody, if Ricky gets to hang out with everyone, and I don't get to hang out with anyone, so somebody please reach out and let me
It's
know
the
if you're
benefit
going.
of being in the hometown of the
Oh
football team.
man, yeah. But MetLife is kind of lame compared to Bank of America, but it's still gonna be a good time. We're having a lot of
That's right.
fun. So please reach out to me because I wanna hang and I wanna hang out with Panthers fans and let's go and
That's it.
and hopefully we like. Hopefully, Dayball isn't as big of a doucher as Salah. So we'll see. Anything else you want to bring up? I think I'm good.
No, that's good, man. I just wanted to recap the preseason and let everybody or preseason game one and kind of say fair to have critique, fair to be upset about some things, but let's hold off on
Right.
mashing that panic button just for right now.
Yeah. Bill Belichick never wins preseason games, and he won like 7 rings or 6 rings.
Decent, right?
Yeah, right. And we beat the Bills 21-0 last year, so
Yep.
relax.
Yep.
All right, cool. Well, thanks everybody. I guess we'll end it out with a big keep pounding.
Keep pounding.